So, ladies and gentlemen, the discredit campaign is continuing, and it's pretty obvious that Attorney General William Barr is closing in. The media, once again, trying their damnedest to discredit him so that when anything comes out, they can then say William Barr is not credible and he is on the witch hunt. My, how things have changed. Once again, the Democrats and their liberal media is out spinning their propaganda. They're now claiming 1,100 former prosecutors and DOJ officials call on Attorney General Barr to resign.
They want us to be monolithic, pessimistic, have us like a freedom should be on a wish list. Finger to the struggle, I ain't stuck in that bubble. They try to give me trouble because I'm thinking free. Easily I could be nothing, could be on that block wishing Govy give me something. Welfare, food stamps, whatever they think it's supposed to be. Like being black's automatic for supporting me. Don't need for groceries. I could work, get a cert, build my worth, build a life, family first. Ah yes, no one can stop me. I am on top sheet and I'm going there. They'll try hold me down. Politics as usual.
So let's take a look at what they're asking, or why they're asking him to resign. Let's think about it. Roger Stone, as I said before, was recommended by 4 prosecutors, all from the Mueller case, or the Mueller probe, that he should get 8 to 9 years in jail for lying to Congress. Just remember that. 8 to 9 years for lying to Congress. Now let's take a look at what's been going on in the last couple of days. Andy McCabe. You notice the media was celebrating that Andy McCabe was said that the DOJ will no longer be pursuing charges against him. They didn't even mention that the DOJ was only looking into his lack of candor. They totally wiping out the John Durham investigation, which has nothing to do with that part of it. And Trey Gowdy is the one who breaks it down really nice, really simple, as he always does. This is one thing that the CNN viewers do not get. They do not get to see some of the top-notch guys who can break it down and leave their bias out of it. So I want you guys to take a look at Trey Gowdy breaking this down real nice, real simple, and in layman's terms of what's happening with Andy McCabe. And this is going to tie back in to the discredit campaign of William Barr. And if they can't get William Barr, they're going to try to discredit John Durham, a guy who's fought corruption in Washington, D.C., put down people, locked them up on both sides of the aisle. And this is what scares them. Because, believe it, if John Durham proves what President Trump has been saying all along is true, it's a wrap. In my opinion, it's a wrap already. But best believe it, Bernie Sanders, whoever the primary winner is, might as well just pack it up and go home.
That's a really narrow, discrete fact pattern that he's not being indicted for.
So it could actually be that he's cooperating with John Durham, or that he's looking, or a suspect in the John Durham now criminal probe. Is that right?
Well, he's certainly somebody that John Durham would want to talk to, and it could range. It could go the whole range from he didn't do anything wrong, and he did admit to misrepresentations, but that's a little bit different than intentionally misrepresenting or an intentionally false statement. It could be that he's just simply not guilty. It could be that he's cooperating with John Durham, or it could be that he's still under investigation for other fact patterns not related to that discrete one with the leak in the Clinton investigation.
I see. Let me ask you about John Durham and what he is looking at now, because we're all waiting to see what's going on, and we understand that he's been looking at John Brennan's communication as well, then the head of the CIA. In your view, what is John Durham looking at?
Marie, he's looking at three things: the factual predicate for this Russia investigation, and I'm not talking about the summer of 2016. I'm talking about stuff that happened in late 2015 and early 2016. Remember, the DOJ and the FBI told Paul Ryan and Devin Nunes and myself repeatedly and exclusively that nothing happened before June of 2016. No payments were made, no contacts with the Trump campaign. I'm sure John Durham is looking to see whether or not that's true. He's also looking at the FISA process and misrepresentations made to the FISA court. I think he's also looking at that ICA, that intelligence community assessment that John Brennan got done towards the end of the Barack Obama tenure to make sure whether or not that was thoroughly investigated and whether or not all the right information made its way into that ICA. Yeah. Three important things, three separate things.
And you were among those questioning a number of witnesses to try to get to the bottom of this. You actually questioned John Brennan, and John Brennan told you straight out the dossier had nothing to do with the FISA process. We now know that was one of the single things they used, the dossier, to actually get those FISA warrants. But I also want to show this counter intel activity timeline that we have put together here. And it shows that General Flynn was paid to speak in Moscow in December of 2015. And George Papadopoulos was invited to a conference in Rome in March of 16. And then Mifsud, Joseph Mifsud, told Papadopoulos in April of 2016 that Russia had Hillary Clinton emails. The list goes on and on: April, May, all the way up to July 31st, when the actual counterintelligence probe started, according to the FBI. So what about all this other stuff happening at the end of 15 and early 16? That these are serious informants running up against Trump campaign people. How do you explain that if the investigation started in July, Trey?
Let me just pause it there for you. It is crazy to me how easily this stuff is broken down with fact patterns, and evidence, yet it's dismissed by the mainstream media every day as conspiracy theory. Yet, when they speak about the Russian collusion, they never break down anything. Everything is conjecture. Everything's opinion. Everything's emotion. Yet we should believe that one. It's crazy to see the detail in which Maria Bartiromo just broke that down in a timeline all before the summer of 2016. And Trey Gowdy, beforehand, mentioned that he was told repeatedly, because you got to remember, they were the ones running the house, doing the investigations, when CNN, MSNBC told everybody that these guys are on a witch hunt on behalf of President Trump. Let's not forget. So Trey Gowdy asked John Brennan, who lied, and we have proof of the lies now, because time sometimes reveals the lies. So he's not going to jail, at least not yet, or he shouldn't, because remember, MSNBC gave him a job. James Clapper, he lied. What did he do? He got a job with CNN. Turns out he could have been leaking while in the CIA, not the CIA, but I believe he was the director of national intelligence or somewhere in the intelligence community. And John Brennan, same thing. Lied. But none of these guys, according to the mainstream media, should go to jail. But Roger Stone should go 8 to 9 years in jail. And because Attorney General William Barr said, I think that's a little too much for this, he now should resign. Listen, if you cannot see that this is some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? This is a joke, a sham, a hoax. And I don't know if I'm living in some messed up world where people are just completely brainwashed and cannot see what's right in front of their faces. Because I'm sure if you're a liberal watching me right now talk about this, you're there thinking I'm crazy. But the fact pattern is there. You can put this on anybody else in the world except Donald Trump, and I guarantee you will see it. But for some reason, whenever it's Donald Trump, people's mind just goes blank, and they get tunnel vision, and they can't see what's really happening here. And to me, it's unbelievable, as it is to most people. However, there's these people that they just hate the man so much. They can't figure out why, or they can't even see a damn thing that's right in front of them. Now, if you're a liberal, please explain to me how what's happening with Roger Stone, they're saying he lied, so 8 to 9 years. And then you hear McCabe, then you hear Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Strzok, Page, all telling lies. But they shouldn't face a day, because you see the celebration by the mainstream media and all the people involved when they hear that Andy McCabe will not be criminally charged by the DOJ. But they forget to mention that he is under investigation. And as I said in episode 1, that there's no way this guy's getting off free. This was part of the deal. This is what they're doing. They're going to throw him a bone. They said, Andy, tell you what we'll do. I don't mean to sound like Adam Schiff here, but making shit up that I don't know about. But this is just my opinion, and I'm not on the House floor. I'm on a podcast, okay? So, hey Andy, I'm gonna throw you a bone. You tell us how this started, who started it, what you're doing, your involvement, and guess what we'll do for you? We will announce that we will no longer searching or trying to put criminal charges on you. Now, how does that sound? And I guess you could just imagine what his reaction must have been. I mean, delighted. Think about it, guys. He lied on multiple occasions. 2 Inspector General reports had him lying. Congress has him lying. It was just revealed he was the source of a leak. So if you're in that position and you got thrown this bone, would you leave it alone? I doubt it. Okay? So listen, Andy McCabe is now an informant. And he's not going nowhere unless he helps bring down the big fish. And this comes back to CNN, MSNBC, and all the fake news media spinning and discrediting Attorney General William Barr. The pieces are all there. But what the media does is, as things move, they throw away the other pieces. And they keep their viewers in this box and this tunnel where they only see what's happening right now. But if they were able to look outside and bring those other pieces and connect them all around, they would see the big picture. And that's what I notice when I speak to liberals who only watch one source of news or one source of media that fits them and that makes them feel nice and safe and coddly. Okay? Their vision is always blurred from the other pieces. And they always forget before. But as Maria showed you, she tied in pieces that are left out in the mainstream media and put them on a timeline. And Trey Gowdy broke it down for you with facts. This is what's missing on the mainstream media. So now that I say that, I'm going to bring up part of their discredit campaign and what they're trying to do to William Barr now. So CNN's going to come with their breaking news, as usual. And they're going to give you a big headline with no names. Nobody willing to step forward and put their name in the limelight. Because we all know this is all for show. This is all to discredit. Because the swamp is going to protect their own.
Now, more than 1,100 former Justice Department prosecutors and other DOJ officials are calling on Attorney General William Barr to resign. The stunning development is in response to Barr's controversial decision to ask for shorter prison sentence for Roger Stone, a longtime Trump advisor. The officials, who served in both Republican and Democratic administrations, signed and released a rare statement today demanding Barr step down as the nation's top law enforcement official. David Short Patel is a CNN crime and justice producer, and Tolu Olorunnipa is a White House reporter for the Washington Post and a CNN political analyst. Good to see both of you. All right, David, let me begin with you. What more can you tell us about this statement?
Hi, Fred. Good afternoon. It's more than 1,100 former Justice Department officials who are signing on to this bipartisan and sharply worded letter that calls Attorney General William Barr a grave threat to the administration of fair justice and asks for his resignation. I'll read to you a bit more from the letter. These former officials write that the president's public comments on Justice Department matters have gravely damaged the department's credibility, but Mr. Barr's actions in doing the president's personal bidding unfortunately speak louder than his words. Those actions and the damage they have done to the Justice Department's reputation for integrity and the rule of law require Mr. Barr to resign. Fred, this letter really capping one of the most tumultuous weeks in recent Justice Department history, beginning on Tuesday when Attorney General William Barr and other senior leaders from the Justice Department engaged in this extraordinary public dispute with career attorneys who had recommended a stiff punishment for Roger Stone, the longtime friend of President Donald Trump, who was convicted last year of lying to Congress and witness tampering. On Wednesday, Barr, attempting to diffuse the growing crisis a bit in an interview with ABC News, in which he said that the decision to soften the sentencing request on Stone was made without consultation from the White House. It was the Justice Department's decision, Barr said. He also, though, added this rare rebuke, this criticism of President Donald Trump. Barr telling ABC News that the president's tweets, his online commentary about the Justice Department, make his job impossible to do. Fred, we got a bit of a response from the White House to those criticisms this morning. Take a listen to Mark Short, the vice president's chief of staff, in an interview on CNN.
I don't think that it's impossible to do his job. In fact, I think that Attorney General Barr is doing a great job. I think he has a lot of confidence inside the White House. I think that the president's frustration is one that a lot of Americans have, which feels like the scales of justice are not balanced anymore. There has been a bias inside the Department of Justice that Attorney General Barr is trying to correct. I think that he has said that the president has not called him directly to say, please do these things. He has acted independently to initiate these reviews. And I think he's doing a fantastic job with it.
And there again is Mark Short, the vice president's chief of staff, on CNN's State of the Union with our Dana Bash. Mark Short standing by the attorney general there, but there are more than 1,100 former Justice Department officials who came down in a very different conclusion, calling for Barr's resignation in that letter this morning. Fred, we should note a Justice Department spokesman declined to comment on the letter.
And there you have it. CNN, once again, omitting the facts. Once again, claiming the president is getting the attorney general to do his personal bidding. You see the tunnel vision that they present. So they want you to concentrate on this one section of the news. Forget about the pieces. Forget about the insurance policy. Forget about the Mueller investigation, which is what got Roger Stone in this mess in the first place. Forget about the Andy McCabe's, the James Comey leaking to get Mueller. Do you understand that? The leader and director of the FBI leaked a classified document purposely to trigger the Mueller investigation. And here's the crazy part. This same FBI director used to work for Mueller when Mueller was the FBI director. And CNN wants you to think this is all coincidence. Some big coincidence. James Comey leaks the document. The document somehow triggers his old friend and buddy, pal, Robert Mueller, to be the leader of this investigation. And here's the funny part about this whole situation. Days before that, Robert Mueller was in the president's office trying to get the job as a new FBI director. Do you understand what they're doing here? So now that Attorney General has appointed John Durham to look into all this, what they want to do now is discredit him, because they know that all roads lead back to these corrupt bureaucrats, which we know as the deep state. And here CNN is talking about 1,100 former prosecutors and DOJ officials are coming out, speaking out against the current Attorney General, who is saying 8 to 9 years is a little too much for lying to Congress. But these same people didn't come out when you hear about people getting less than that for murders or for pedophilia or for other outrageous things. These people didn't come out when the FBI director was leaking and lying to put the president, the elected official, in jeopardy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the deep state. And the media is their helper. It's time for all of us to wake up and see it for what it is. This is unbelievable. And it is just amazing how they just move on and they leave these pieces behind because it doesn't fit their narrative. And the casual, everyday person who just comes home, turns on CNN, all they're seeing is this negativity in a tunnel. They have no context because CNN doesn't care about context. Who needs context when it fits your narrative? People, it's unbelievable. I'm glad I woke up. You know, I was a CNN viewer before. I still watch CNN now, but for different reasons. I watch it now to see what they're doing and to point out what they're doing. Because if this could happen to a president, imagine what they can do to the average Joe. Imagine how easy it is to make up some crime and go after you, your family, your friends, put them away for the silliest things or the simplest things that you see people get maybe 1-2 years max, away for almost a decade. And this is what these former DOJ and prosecutors are stepping out against. Out of all the things, out of all the injustices that we've seen, this is what they're coming out against. Once again, CNN proves they're the most trusted source in fake news.
They want us to be monolithic, pessimistic, have us like a freedom should be on a wish list. Finger to the struggle, I ain't stuck in that bubble. They try to give me trouble because I'm thinking free. Easily I could be nothing, could be on that block wishing God would give me something. welfare, food stamps, whatever they think it's supposed to be. Like being black's automatic for supporting me. Don't need for groceries. I could work, get a cert, build my worth, build a life, family first. Ah yes, no one can stop me. I am on top sheet, and I'm going there. They'll try hold me down.
Politics as usual.